Okay, just added the link. Let people join in. Good evening. Am I audible properly? Perfect. Let me also open our pen note because I told you right last time I needed whiteboard to make you understand about some important concept, and let me just do that for us. Okay, this is not your book. Okay, yeah. I've given 5 minutes for people to join in, and let us now start. So, the next part, we have already covered the basics of inheritance in our session yesterday in the college, and sorry, day before yesterday. Now, let me show you how it works. Okay, so here, if you see, we had a class A, we had a class B, right? Class A was looking something like this. We had our class A, correct? Class A had method M1 and M2, correct? We had method M1, we had method M2. Then we did what? We said class B. Class B had method M3 and method M4. But the moment what happened, we changed certain things here. For example, what? We said class B extends A. When class B is extending A, you know what happens? All the variables and methods from class A will also come down to class B. See, this is how it will happen. So this, consider I am writing a line, I'm making a dashed line just to show you. For example, we also had a variable x is equal to 10 here. So what will happen in the memory allocation of B, there will be x is equal to 10, which is coming from where? From class A. Then we method M1, and then we have got method M2, which was already coming from class A. And then we have y is equal to 20, we have M3, and we have M4. Is this diagram making it clear? How does the inheritance work? We have done this already. This example we have done already in the session. I'm just trying to figure out, are you able to understand that? Yes. Something? Yes, no, maybe. Perfect. Now, once we have done this, yeah, we have implemented this. Let me do a simple example for this so that we can just connect the dots again. Let me call it as inheritance, and under my inheritance folder, okay, I have a.java, correct, and I have b.java. What we saw here is under a.java we had method m1 and m2. So public void m1, which said what, system.out.println a dash m1, and then we replicated the same method for m2, and this was a dash m2, correct. And now I will create same for b, right? So this become my class b. The difference is when I use this, it will become what, extends a, and this time I will have what, m3, I will have m4, and this is coming from b dash m3, b dash m4, and this is coming from my class a. So when I create irunner dot java and I say main, and first you remember, right, we created object of a, so a is equal to new a, then I said a dot m1, a dot m2, then we wanted to call using the object of b. Now here we are invoking using the object of b, and now this time I say b is equal to new b dot m1. I am able to call this because this is inherited. Then I'll say b dot m2, it is also inherited from a. Then I say b dot m3, see this time it is my own, and I say b dot m4, this is also coming from my own. So if I try to execute this now, I'll create a new command prompt and let me close this. Okay, and then I say inheritance java c star dot java. See, this will compile all the Java files. And if I say java space irunner now, it will be just executing this. So when I was calling using a, I was able to call m1 and m2. When I'm calling using b, I'm able to call what, a dot am1, am2, bm3, and bm4. Why? Because it is inherited and I get data for all of them. Yeah, I get data for all of them. Now the next part is, which is very important here, is what we call as the concept of constructor chaining. Okay. Okay, so the next concept, what we are calling here, is called as the concept of constructor chaining. As I told you, it's very important when it comes to. So here we have got the concept of constructor chaining, which happens with inheritance. Okay, the rule says what? Whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by defaults invokes the default constructor of its superclass. Okay, unless except the parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked. Now I know this is a very tricky statement, but this is very important. Until unless the parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked. Okay, unless except the parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked. Now how does this work? Let us see that. What does the rule say? Okay, you remember we have done the concept of constructor. How many constructors are there? How many types of constructor are there? So constructor can broadly be divided into two parts. Constructor are either default, which are also known as parameterless, or the constructor are also called as parameterized. So you know what it is saying, that whenever we invoke any subclass constructor, for example, consider we have a hierarchy. Yeah, consider we have a hierarchy. The hierarchy goes like this: car, SUV, and Mahindra Thar. Correct? So Thar is an SUV, SUV is a car. What does the rule say? Whenever we invoke any subclass constructor, it will by default invoke the default constructor of its superclass. So if I create this hierarchy now, let us see that. If I go here, I say car.java, and I create a constructor here. I'll say this is a constructor, and I say this is a default constructor of car. Okay, this is default constructor of car, and then I have got public void start method here. That's fine. And then I want to add some variables here. So I'll say this is int a is equal to 10 here. This is my first class. Okay, step one. Then I do what? I create another class. Let me call it as suv.java. Under my suv.java, what I do, I say suv, which is the default constructor, and I'll say system.out.println default constructor of suv. Okay, default constructor of suv, and here I say public void horsepower. Some method, I'm not worried about that method right now, but just showing you that we will have those methods. And here I make it int b is equal to 20. Okay, this is my second class. And then I create thar.java, and under thar.java, what I do, thar is my constructor. I say system.out.println thar constructor, or default constructor of thar, invoked. And then here I say int c is equal to 30, and that is okay. So now usually what will happen if I create a runner class here, let me say it is I1 runner. Yeah, this is I1 runner dot java. Here I say I have got my main method. Okay, I have got my main method. Under my main method, what do I say? See, I want to show you the whole process. If I call system.out.println, okay, I am calling only car. This time I am calling only what? Car. And I want you to see the difference. Yeah. So this time I am going to call only what? SUV. And this time I am going to call only what? Thar. So what difference will it make when I call only this constructor C? It is very important and easy to understand. First, I create the object of car. So I say car C is equal to new car. That's fine. What do you think? So which constructor will it call? It will call only its own constructor of car. That's it. But the moment I create SUV, you know what will happen? This should invoke SUV as well as car. First it will invoke car and then it will invoke SUV. And then when I say Thar, what will happen at this time? The Thar will invoke, first it will invoke car, SUV, and then so on. So let's see how it does this works out. Okay, so if I say I1 runner, what will happen here? See, okay, there was one mistake I did. That is why this is default constructor of car, default constructor of SUV, default constructor of Thar. They're not calling the other constructor. Can any one of you try to figure out what issue did I make here? What was the problem that this is not working? Okay, I'll just keep those. See, this is my car.java, this is my SUV.java, and this is my Thar.java. There is very silly mistake I have done. Can you figure out what is wrong here? Anyone? Yes, anyone can give it a try. What do you think so is the mistake I have done here? So very silly mistake. You know what? I did not extend. I did not build the relation of inheritance. So it will be what? Extends car. Okay. SUV should have been extending car. Yeah. Perfect. Unexplored gaming, whatever your name is, you did that perfect. And then I had got my SUV. I got my SUV. And now if I do the compilation and execute it again, so see, when I called car, it only called car. But when I called SUV, it first called car, then SUV. And when I called Thar, see, it first called car, SUV, and then the Thar. How is that happening? This whole process is nothing but what we call as constructor chaining. So consider, okay, in VS Code, when I run a user input program, it just stopped executing and I'm now able to enter the input. Do you know? Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this was my car.java. This was my SUV.java. This was my Thar.java. Car had one default constructor and it had a value of A. SUV had one default constructor and it had value of B. Thar had one default constructor and it had value of C. Now what happened and they were connected with the relation of inheritance with each other. They were connected with the relation of inheritance with each other. Now what happened? From some runner class, you said Thar T is equal to new Thar, right? So eventually what you did, you made the call to this constructor. Now this constructor, is it a superclass or a subclass constructor? Obviously it is a subclass constructor. So what it will do, by rule, it will invoke the default constructor of its superclass. See, whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by default invokes the default constructor of its superclass. So what will happen? It will invoke the default constructor of its superclass, which is what? SUV. Now SUV itself is a default constructor, subclass, so it will call the default constructor of its superclass here. And now car is car a subclass or a superclass? Is car a subclass or a superclass? It's superclass for SUV, but is it a subclass for someone? Do you remember one extreme superclass we discussed in the class? Do you remember one extreme superclass we discussed in the session? Anyone remember its name? Yes, perfect, Mustafa. It is what java.lang.object, which is my extreme superclass. So which is what like here. So here it will go to java.lang.object. Now once it is updated, this call will come back. And this a will become what, like for example, a is equal to 10. Then this call will again come down, which is what b is equal to, let's say 20, and they assign the value, and this c is equal to 30, and this whole object get updated. Obviously, because if Thar wants to get the data from the superclasses, the superclass have to be alive in the memory, correct? This is the extreme superclass, but then this was a superclass from where I needed some data. Then also this was a class from where I needed some data, and then this was a class from where I needed some data. And if you look at it now, yeah, if you look at it, it is creating a chain structure. Can you see that this one went from here, then it went here, then it went here, then it came down, then it came down here, then it came down here, right? This is, can you see a change? There is no superclass to java.lang.object, Pratham. It is the superclass. It is the alpha class. It's called as alpha class in Java. There is no superclass beyond that. It is the first class in the hierarchy. Okay. Now, if you look at it, what do you find is that there is, can you find a chain structure created here? What created here is a chain structure, is nothing but what we call as constructor chaining. Are we clear on this? This is what we call as constructor chaining. So this whole chaining is what we work upon with. Okay, this is the chaining we work upon with. So clear so far? This is the constructor chaining, very important concept, and we have seen this live in action. So what am I going to do is I'm going to give you the car.java code in chat. I'm going to give you suv.java in chat, and I'm going to give you thar.java in chat, and I'm going to give you irunner1.java in chat. I would like you to quickly try this out. I will break this. Okay, the last one, it is saying that it will have to, I cannot send it in one go. I will send it in two places. Okay. I will send it in two options. So the last one is divided into two. Can we try this quickly? It's very important. I want you to try this out, please. Yes, Sadia, exactly. That's what I said, right? That in last session that a normal class is considered as subclass. Yes, that is why when car.java was not extending anyone, okay, the same should be applied when there is a superclass and a subclass constant. Okay, so the same should be applied where there is a superclass and a subclass concept. That is A extends B. In this, A is superclass, but it should be the subclass as it has superclass known as object. Yes, perfect. What you have, your question is itself the answer. In fact, see what will happen. See there, if there are multiple hierarchies, they all will come to java.lang.object. So here, consider we had car, right? car had SUV had Thar. At the same time, we had got A, which was B was extending A. Then I had got grandfather here. Then grandfather had was extending with father. Then father was extending with me. So they all are wherever we do not have any extends keyword by ourselves, it will extend java.lang.object. They can be, see, this is the ultimate superclass for all of them. They can be coming from multiple different hierarchies. So that's not a problem at all. That's not a problem at all. But if a class does not have extends keyword, it is extending what java.lang.object. Good observation, and that is how it should be. Are we clear on this? Are we clear on this, everyone? Perfect. Okay. So on that note, if I ask you, if I give you a small task, okay, I want to see, yeah, where is Java? If I give you a simple example here, under a, can you try to solve this, the practical 5, please? If I give you 5 minutes for this, 5-10 minutes, will you be able to do that? I want to see any one of you is able to just try this out. Yeah, I want you to do this. Possible? Is it possible for you to do that? I need a 5 minutes break. I am going on for a long time. I am sitting here for almost from 3 p.m. So what I would do is I'll give you, it's like 7:07. I'll give you 5-7 minutes. Complete this, and I will be back. Yeah, I just need to have some water, freshen up. Meanwhile, can you do this? Yes, no, something. Yeah. Yes, try this out, please. I'll be back in. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. I hope some of you have got the answer to this one. Yep. How will that happen? We'll just simply create. I'll first close all this. And what does they say? That class plane. Okay. What were the things we had? Let's pick that up. We had automobile, plane, and Airbus. So I delete this. I say automobile, or let me just create one more subfolder, plane. So we'll just do it inside that. And here I have got automobile dot java. Then you have got plane dot java, correct? And then you have got Airbus dot java. Okay, then we have got Airbus dot java. Under automobile, what we'll do is simply just add a constructor. Let me call it as automobile, and system.out.println automobile constructor invoked. Okay, then under plane I say plane extends automobile. Okay, and the plane constructor, so system.out.println plane constructor is invoked. Then at the same time, we have got Airbus, and I say class Airbus extends plane, and Airbus constructor, and system.out.println Airbus constructor invoked. So this is extending, this is extending, this is extending. This is perfect. Now, if I just say cd plane and I say java c space star dot java, is there any error? Okay, it says something is wrong. Duplicate class plane dot plane. Okay, I don't need this package keyword here. Package is something we are going to do, but not today. So now if I say java c space star dot java, and inside this plane I create a runner class. Now if you remember the same thing what we have done earlier, runner we have here. I say I have got main method. Under my main method I say uh, system.out.println calling using plane. First is automobile, so you will see only automobile called. Then we have got plane, then we have got Airbus. So here we have got automobile. A is equal to new automobile. Then plane P is equal to new plane, and Airbus AB is equal to new Airbus. And you will, what will you see? The chaining will happen now. The chaining will obviously happen. So, and if I say Java runner, so here see what happens when I called automobile, only automobile was invoked. But when I called plane, first automobile was invoked, then the plane was invoked. And when I called using Airbus, first the automobile, then the plane, then the Airbus was invoked. Getting this? How it happened? Yeah, getting this? What we have done here? Simple as that. And based on that, now, if you look at the question, there was one more thing. that automobile has a, which extends automobile, which has a default as well as a parameterized constructor. So class plane which extends automobile has a default as well as a parameterized constructor. So what is it saying? That your class plane might have one more constructor, plane, and let's say int seat capacity. So this time what has happened, we are creating one more, yeah, and try to understand this. So system.out.println plane with seat capacity invoked. Yeah, seat with seat capacity is invoked. Okay. Now, see, by default, if I make this change and if I make certain changes here, nothing will happen. So if I go here and if I say Java C space star.java, compile, no problem. And if I say Java runner, nothing will change. Everything is happening as it is. But to bring this into action, if I go and if I go and comment the constructor of plane, okay, and if I now say Java C space constructor Java, see what has happened. I have made the change in class plane, but I'm getting error in Airbus, and I am also getting an error in runner. It is saying that plane cannot be invoked, right? Because I have commented. So how it was looking originally. See, we can resolve those errors. I'll show you. First, my class plane was looking like this. It had a constructor with zero parameter, so zero constructor, and then I added one parameter constructor. Okay. Then what I did, I used and I deleted this one. So you know what happened? The overall scenario. First, I have got automobile. Then I have got plane, and then I had Airbus. They extend here, they extend here. Now the thing is, here I had a default constructor, but here I have a parameterized constructor now. This is one parameter constructor. Then here I also have a default constructor again, and then the chaining again. What happened? I made the call to the default constructor. What does the rule say? Call the default constructor, but here we do not have any default or parameterless constructor. So the chaining stops here. The chaining stops at this point, which is the problem, which is one of the big problem. How can I resolve this? The answer was in the initial call itself. Unless except we call the parameterized constructor explicitly. So what does they say? We have to write a line of code in my Airbus, which will allow me to complete this chaining. So for how I can check that? So for doing that, see, I have got the keyword called as super now. Okay, so this keyword is something we have already seen. Super keyword is used to access the superclass methods and data from the superclass. Yeah, super keyword is used for accessing the superclass methods and the data from the subclass. It is also used for invoking the superclass constructor. It was used for resolving the ambiguity, and it is used for calling an overridden method from the superclass. So here, if we have a class A, and then if my class B extends A, what is happening here is, what has happened first, there was an M1 method which was exactly same, and then there was an X keyword which was exactly same. From my subclass I want to call the superclass. See, how do we address our fathers? How do we address our fathers? Do we call them by their own names? No, right? We use some pronouns for our fathers as well, like dad, daddy, abba, papa, whatever it is. So here in Java, we call it using the keyword super. When a Java class is calling super, it is referring to the immediate super class. Are we getting? The keyword super means what? It is referring to the immediate super class. Okay. So here, if for example, whatever example we have here, this will also have one more part which will cover up our final part here. See, we have got our class A. Now class A have a variable by name X. Okay, and it has a method by name M1. Now class B extends A. Now they also have a variable by name X, and they also have a method M1, and they have a method M3. Now you know what will happen in this situation. If from B, using the object of B, I want to access A. See, how will that happen? Let me show you. So I'll create one more folder. Let me call it as overriding. Okay, let me call it as overriding. Now consider I have got class A.java and I have got class B.java. Okay, I have got A.java. Class A says what? I have a variable of int x is equal to 10. Then I have a method public void m1. This is my a-m1 method. Then I have got class B, and this class B is nothing but extending A. And here also I have a variable of 20. Then I have a method which is exactly same signature, public void m1. See, they are not in the same class, they are in superclass and subclass. So here I have got system.out.println b dash m1. Okay, then I have another method here, public void m3. And now you know what I have to do in m3. See, I need to add x from A and x from B, and I need to invoke m1 from A, and then I need to invoke m1 from B. Okay, this is my requirement. So if you look at class A, what do I find? I have got X, I have got Y, and then if I write a runner here, and under that runner.java, I just write one simple thing. Okay, under that runner.java, I will write one simple thing. What is that? Is I will call main method. I will call b is equal to new b, and then I say b.m3, which is basically making call to everyone. So what will happen in this situation now is A already had X, okay, that's fine. Then B had what? X, that is okay. So if I want to add here, let's see. If I say int result is equal to X plus X, which is coming from what will happen here? What is the expected output we can find here? If I print result, what do you think so will be the output? I am expecting output to be 30. But what do you think so the output will be? I want the output to be 30. Why? X 10 from here and 20 from here. But the thing is, what will happen here? What do you think so? The output will be what? So if I call M3 here, let's see. So if I say cd inheritance slash overriding, and if I say java c star dot java, see, I am expecting the output to be 30, but I'm getting what, 40. The reason being that when I call x, it is not referring to the superclass x. I want one x from superclass and the x another one from my own class. So in that situation, what will I do? I will mark this as super dot. So when I say one of them to be super dot, see, it will go and bring this x from here. And now if I recompile and I check, I will get output as 30. At the same time, if I want to make the call to M1 and I want to make the call to M1 from B. So this time, see, I need to invoke M1 from A. So I say M1 bracket bracket invoke. And then here I need to call the M1 from B. So this time is what? M1 invoke. If I compile and if I execute, both the time it is calling M1 B hyphen M1. Can any one of you come up with a simple solution to resolve this? That this time on line 17, I want to call with superclass. What should be the change I will have to make in line 17? Anyone? Wild guess? What is the change I will have to make? For at this line, if I want to make the call from the superclass, what is that change I will have to make? Perfect. What is that? Super dot m1. And if you look at it, what will happen? See, now 30 a dash m1 and b hyphen m1. So now if your superclass have something, now at the same time, if the constructor chaining has to be brought into this, see, the thing is, consider I have got a which says system.out.println a hyphen m1, sorry, a constructor, and here I have a b constructor, system.out.println sorry, b constructor, and if I say system.out.println b constructor, okay. And if I make the call again, you know what will happen? Because I am calling the constructor, see, first the a constructor was invoked, then the b constructor was invoked. Now consider your class A have another constructor with int x, which is a parameterized constructor, and I want the chaining to happen through, let's say, okay, I want the chaining to happen through this constructor and not from the default constructor. You know how that can be done? So this idea is the first line in your subclass constructor, you will have to make the call to that parameterized constructor. Let's say I want to call it with 10. So what will happen this time? See, remember this chaining. First it called A and B, the default one. But the moment I go and update this, I compile and I run this. See, this time what happened? The chaining did happen, but this time it happened with the parameterized constructor. Are you getting this? This is happened with the parameterized constructor. So how that can be done? You can use the super keyword to call the variable like this. You can call the super keyword to call the method like this. But you can, when you want to call it with the constructor, the call has to be inside the constructor and it has to be the first line in the constructor. Those are the two rules you need to follow. Are we clear with this? Everyone, are we clear with this? See, if a superclass has a parameterized constructor, you must call it explicitly from the subclass using the super keyword. And here it has to be called from the constructor itself. See, here also it is calling from the constructor itself. Clear on this? So this point, if I go back to my example of automobile, plane, and my constructor is broken, you know how can I do that? I can simply just go to my Airbus And in my Airbus, in my constructor, the first line I will write is what? Let's say the seating capacity is for 300. So this way, what will happen? And there will be, or let's say this is the 400. That's a different plane. So here, if I say Java C asterisk dot Java and Java space runner now, and if you focus on the last one, see Airbus plane with the setting capacity, and then the automobile is involved. Are you understanding how does the chaining happen? Have you understood how does the chaining happen? Clear on this so far, everyone? Okay. So this is one of the part. You know what? I will push this to the repo. So we have completed the concept of overriding here. Okay. So if you go inside inheritance, you will find all the codes we have done for now. Yep. It's here. Okay. Can you please post your attendance in the chat box? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. I'll see you all in college tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great night.